Hello, fellow explorers. Welcome to Siren Soapbox. We are on a mission to explore beyond comfort zones. Ready to take the first step outside of your comfort zone? Dive into sirensoapbox.com, where you will find links to our blog, magazine, YouTube, and movie club. So many ways to explore. Pick one today and experience life outside your comfort zone. In episode 86, we talked to TikTok and Instagram creator Christen Fackler, owner of iOrganize, and we were challenged to organize a space in our home or office. Christen has now branched from cyber world into the written word. How to Organize Everything, Purge, Sort, Contain, and Maintain is Christen's new book. Of course, the Sirens had to check it out and challenge ourselves to organize a different space or reorganize if we lost control of our previous space. I'm not going to say that. That's personal experience. Let's dive in and hear how it went. First on her soapbox is Myrrh.
Thanks, Jess. I have a love-hate relationship with organization, and I'm pretty organized at work. I have a planner system that helps me track all of my tasks and projects, and I've really perfected that over the years. The system works well no matter what planner type I'm using. It could be a daily task calendar, a specific planner, or just a plain old notebook. Doesn't matter. My system works regardless. I also have a pretty good handle on folder structures for saving my data files and all that good stuff. Where I struggle is at home. A bit of clutter doesn't bother me. In fact, I barely notice it. But when it starts to get out of hand, I feel my anxiety start to rise, and I begin to feel uncomfortable in my space. And I've never been able to really develop a habit of keeping my home as organized as I'd like I do at work. So Christen Fackler's new book, it's called How to Organize Everything, Purge, Sort, Contain, Maintain, is exactly the system I need to help me. So Christen breaks every organization job down into 4 steps that make it feel less overwhelming and actually achievable to get your space organized. And for this week's challenge, I took on the 5x5 in my living room, which while Jess was introducing the show, I was trying to remember what I did last time. It may have been the same thing. It's a monster. It's a giant shelving system with like 25 cubbies, and they collect things. And I have a tiny home, and I have somewhere around 127 hobbies. So the 5x5 has really become the storage place for all of my hobby supplies, paints, yarn, jewelry making, tools. I have clay. I mean, there's different types of paints, watercolor pads, journal binding tools. I think you get the point. My friend Nicole once suggested that I get rid of the 5x5 because it's a place that just collects clutter. But what would I do without it? Where would I put all of this stuff? So it's quite functional, you know? The problem is that it gets overwhelming. And that's the maintain part, I guess, right, Christen? So this weekend, I opened up Christen's book and followed the easy steps identified to take my space back. And it felt so good to get rid of things and to make sense of the stuff I was keeping. And one thing I found ironic was a journal I came across that I had purchased years ago. The sole purpose of the journal is to help get your home organized. All the pages were blank, by the way. I hadn't written anything in or done any of the work. That journal finally found itself in a donation bin this time around. I think How to Organize Everything is the only handbook I'll use from now on, and a bonus, it doesn't take up any shelf space. Sarah, how do you feel about organizing?
Well, I really enjoyed preparing for our last iOrganize episode, watching Kristen's videos and finding new ways to stay organized. I was excited to hear that Kristen had written a book about organizing, and it did not disappoint. Once again, she addresses the how-to when it comes to organizing, the purging and sorting, containing, maintaining, but also delving into a little bit why each might be difficult to do and how to manage those barriers. Each phase of organizing has detailed sections with tools needed, tips, and great before and after pictures. As I talked about in our last iOrganize episode, staying organized isn't a huge challenge for me, especially since doing the minimalist challenge. Despite that, there always seems to be somewhere in the house that could use some work. For this challenge, I went to the decorative storage unit that's been sitting in our living room pretty much untouched for years. I had ignored it forever because, it looks fine. It's got nice stuff on top. The door's all closed, the drawers closed. But every now and then I'd wonder what the hell is in there. So I decided it needed to be organized. I finally had a great reason to actually attack it. The first drawer had all of our cable TV information from both providers that we've had, dating all the way back to 2007, neither of which we have anymore. I figured it was finally okay to throw that paperwork away. I also found a pile of old coloring books and pens and crayons. Now, we have this great organized closet in the basement. It's got containers for pens, one for crayons, one for pencils. But you know what? I made the bold decision this time to not even attempt to save these. And instead, I practiced a good old purge. They went out the door. The old coloring books, too. There were a ton of old coloring books that you open up the pages and they were sticking together because the crayons had melted on the pages. It was time for those to go. I did find some great children's reading books, though, that I haven't seen in a year or two or 10, and an unopened package of kids' playing cards. So these all went into a bag to take to my brother for his kids to use. So I did a really good job of the purging and sorting and taking them out of my house. By the end, the unit was pretty much empty. And now when I look over at it, I don't have that nagging feeling about it anymore. If you don't count the years that it took to start the organizing, it really didn't take very long at all. TC, besides organizing a whole brand new school space, how was your challenge this weekend?
My challenge is all about that whole new school space. So I noticed last time we had Kristen on, I talked a lot about my job and that I had just left a job. I was unhappy and I was organizing my new home office. Well, since then, I've taken on a different job, not the business I was starting. And now I have an office at a new school and my home office. And I've discovered that living between two offices is a huge challenge, especially if you're not impeccably organized. And I have not been. I am really happy to announce that the 3 drawers I emptied the last time are still empty. I have not filled them back up, and that feels really good. However, I have piles and stacks of things on my desk. That's what I had to really tackle. I had to organize my mind a little bit and let myself decide that my schoolwork could now go into my school office. I now have an office where I am and I'm ready to get that organized. And so that's what I spent this challenge doing. And the things that I learned from Kristen's new book was organizing my new office and my current office and making somehow these two spaces both work for me, which is a really delicate balance. But for me, organizing, feeling organized, knowing where the things that I need are, that is peace of mind. And so this process to me is about taking control of my life and taking action steps and decreasing some of the stress that I've been feeling. It's amazing to me that organizing can do all of that for you. And so I really appreciated this challenge. And I'm happy to say that my 3 empty drawers, even after the second organization process, remain empty. And I'd like to empty more, but I haven't done it yet. This is still a work in progress for me because I'm still moving into my new school office and figuring out where I want everything to be. But that peace of mind that comes with having an organized space where things are where you know they should be, and being able to grab the things you need when you need them is really important to me. So I'm very excited about all of that. Jess, how about you? How did your process go?
Well, I love organizing, so it's not really something that I had to set my mind to, because if I, had to have a reason to organize, I'm totally down for that. Usually my organizing comes when my husband finally gets overwhelmed with his office or his workspace under the house and says, I need help. And I go, yes, thank you. Just go away, leave me alone, and I'll take care of this. And I'll make a little pile of things. I don't know what it is or what he wants to do with it. And he's in charge of that little pile, and the rest of it is up to me. And it makes me super happy when that happens. But the maintain step is where I struggle. Kristen's book was fantastic for laying out easy steps on organizing. Maintaining is kind of my personal struggle, but I do really enjoy it when I get in the mood and I want to organize, and I just tend to go through and purge, sometimes more than I should. Then my husband ends up asking where something is and it's no longer in the house, but he gets over it. This challenge actually came at a really good time, because I have been wanting to do a good purge of my clothes and things that we don't need in the house. And I actually ended up going through some toiletries as well and donating them all because, as you all have probably heard about the fires in Maui, which is 2 islands away from where I am. So we are safe where we are, but obviously lots of people lost everything. So it provided a really good timing on this because I had a good place to donate all these things where I knew that they would go to good use. So as far as organizing a single space, I did not do that, but I kind of organized a lot of areas of the house and just went through and found a bunch of things that we didn't need, so that they can go to people who need them because they have lost everything. So that felt really good. Our next big challenge is going to be organizing Ben's workbench again, because it tends to collect all the tools in the house until he has a project where he needs to actually use the workbench, and then we have to clear it off. And he wants to do it coming up, but you currently cannot see the workbench. So that's going to be a project for next weekend. This last weekend was going through the clothes and toiletries so that we could donate them to Maui. So I'm pretty excited about the next task, and hopefully then I will have some good before and after pictures, because I did not get any of just going through the entire house and taking a few things from each area. So, well, when the Sirens first met Christen in episode 86, she taught us to organize our space. Christen has been a professional organizer since 2009, but unofficially organizing for others since childhood. Her mom was a teacher and would frequently find her classroom with a brand new redesign whenever she came in. Her friends would also find their bedrooms rearranged after a sleepover. As a teenager, she held cash jobs such as babysitting and pet sitting, but found a way to bring her organizing skills into those jobs. And clients would hire her again to help them organize some more. Christen has held a wide range of jobs, from being a nanny for quadruplets, and working in restaurants, maid service in hotels, retail, and snowboarding instructing. She eventually realized that organizing anything was constantly the best part of the job she had. And when she turned 25 in 2009, she started her iOrganize business. Organizing isn't all Christen does. She is also an athlete, musician, artist, lifetime learner, nature and plant enthusiast, animal lover, video game nerd, handy woman, and a lover of living life. Sirens, please help me welcome back Christen, owner of iOrganize, to this episode of Siren Soapbox.
Welcome to the show, Christen.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you all. I love hearing all your projects, and I want to dive into each one of them and see everything that you're talking about. I'm really proud of you all for doing that. Not everybody loves to organize, and I know how daunting and overwhelming it can be. And having more exposure to social media has really helped open my eyes to how people view organizing so differently. And it really helps.
Yeah, it's interesting. Even with just the 4 of us, we have such different views on it, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I loved what, names, TC had to say about paper. Paper, most of all, truly represents your brain processing. Paper is so custom. It really is. Every little detail of paper is I think one of the biggest struggles most people have.
Well, Christen, we're curious, how was writing your first book?
Oh my goodness. It's a blur. It's amazing. I was really lucky to have a team. My cousin helped me with editing. She's an editor. I took her out to dinner to thank her for editing. I already had an illustrator that I had worked with in the past that had given me comics in the past related to organizing. So really have to thank the people around you, because it doesn't just, it takes so many people, and patience requires a lot of patience. It's like you just want to get it out, you want to get it done, and nope, not ready yet, not ready. And to think about who's going to read it, I always want to go way too far into detail, level of detail that many aren't ready for. So it's really good to like take a step back and just think, what is the underlying layer of organizing, and try to paint that picture as simply as possible, but also visually too, because I'm a visual learner as well. So to lay that out into the 4 categories: purge, sort, contain, and maintain. But also once you learn that foundation, any organizing project, you can apply that. And even outside of life, whether it's gardening. My sister's a computer programmer, and she says that she follows the same thing in her programming and laying out code, all that whole process. So I always get a little fascinated about how, it can be applied to life. And of course, organizing isn't just about shifting some stuff around. It's emotional, spiritual, and it's forever a life lesson that we all are learning and growing.
Yeah, I didn't realize. So I know TCU mentioned, gosh, I hope I don't misquote you, but I think you said maybe you alluded to being, when you're more organized, you feel better, like you're just less chaotic. And I was doing
I said peace of mind, peace of mind.
peace of mind. I did a little bit of research, and I found some really interesting statistics about people. Like, there are some true scientifically proven mental health benefits to keeping your space organized. It's kind of strange, or not strange, but enlightening.
That makes sense, because when you think about like just even getting ready for work in the morning, or getting ready for, school if you have kids, or getting kids ready, you have to leave the house by a certain time. And if you can't find something, and you're spending 20 minutes running around the house trying to find like your car keys, you've already set the tone for your entire day, because you're just like frazzled and oh my gosh. But if you keep your space organized, and you know exactly where your car keys are, or your lunchbox, or your coat, or your shoes, or whatever, you're starting the day off a little less frazzled.
Yeah.
The disorganization impairs your daily function.
That's a good way to describe it.
My partner and I are very opposite, and we've recently merged our lives together the last few years. And she reminds me of that frustration, because I watch it happen, because I forget a little bit. I'm a little disconnected. So when you were bringing that up, I was like, relatable. Oh, my partner, yes. So watching that frustration, and that's not fun. But after seeing a client feel lighter after they're done organizing, I feel better. So just hearing your stories of your peace of mind, it was like infectious. It's like I all of a sudden feel better because you just told me that you feel better about your space. So it's contagious.
And you did that, Christen. You were the root of that happiness.
Yay. Well, that just makes everything complete. I'm all done. There's nothing left to do.
All right, good episode, y'all.
Yep. Okay.
I appreciated how you wrote the book. You said that you had to stop yourself from like being too detailed. I loved it. Was a nice, quick, easy read. It kind of gets straight to the point. And when you're feeling overwhelmed with a task, like I was with the 5x5, I will send you before and after pictures, by the way. It was nice to have just, get to the point. This is what you need to do. So I did appreciate that about the book.
Good. Yeah. I often will read like a personal growth book. And I was trying to really think about how that feels when I'm reading a book. And it's like, I don't know, personally, it's like, here, take time, like the book you found about organizing. Here, sit down and take time to like think and write. Like, I never do that. So I'm not going to make somebody sit there and do that. And then, I offered resources to other things, such as a video series. So if you do choose, you want to dive in more to this lesson or this idea, you can go watch that series, or I put a couple websites. If you had the ebook, you could click the link. Otherwise the print book, you have to, go do the search. But yeah, trying to trying to think of applicable, and even making social media videos, really try to keep it practical, relatable, something that somebody could say, I can do that. I can put that into action.
You could do like a whole series for different places. It could be organize your home, organize your car, organize your office, organize your garage. Like, there could be a whole series. I just need organize your file cabinet.
So
Some people are really good at that. I
yes.
mean, do I alphabetize it? Do I organize it by year? Do I organize it by main subject? I'm sure there's a better way than what I'm doing.
Paper is just so custom. And people ask me questions, online and in, I guess just specifically online. It just depends on who you are, how your brain sees things. So I'll give you an example. For me, when I set up a filing system, I want the same color folder, streamlined. When my clients are like, I want all different colors, but to me, that's distracting. I want just all the same color folder, the tabs all in a line. So it's just streamlined and simple, but not everybody is that way. And some people want alphabetical. And if you hold up a piece of paper and you say, well, if you were going to look for this, what would the name of that folder be? We would all come up with a different answer. So trying to, help a client or help you tell me what you think, and hey, how about these other options? Do any of these resonate with you? And also, it really depends on what kind of papers you have, and everybody's so different with how they save their papers. A lot of my clients are still very much paper based. I get a lot of controversy on, who has this much paper anymore? But there's still people out there that are still paper based and trying to figure out the same things that you are with their file cabinets.
Just for perspective on that piece alone, like, I live somewhere where electricity is come and go, and storms dictate whether or not you have access to things that are saved online or saved electronically. So in my world where I live, we still have to have paper. If I lived in the States where you can count on electricity pretty much 24/7, and when you don't have it, it's the exception to the rule, that's different. But much of the world still, many places in the world still live in a place where electricity is like, yes, I haven't lost power for a week now.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
you have to have a backup plan.
Yeah, exactly. You never know what the variables are. So I would love to do more paper videos, but I feel like I would need like all these little asterisks. Okay, do this if you this, and then do this if you this, do this, right? So
It's
like the
a
one
flow chart. Yes
really
or no?
yeah.
Follow the different paths.
You might be onto something there. I do love a flow chart. That's true.
Hey, Christen, the last time we talked to you, you said you were going to give the whole social media influencer thing a shot, and it looks like you're doing pretty well. How's that going?
Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's such a weird thing. At first, okay, so I started around the lockdown in 2020. I had always been flirting with the idea of making videos ever since I was a kid. I always had a VHS camera on my shoulder.
The big giant one
that
hurt your back.
Oh yeah, I have so many VHS tapes from being a kid. So performer at heart, and it's kind of my two loves coming together. And you might think I'm crazy, but pretty introverted. But this, I don't have an audience in front of me. I just get to sit at home and entertain everybody, right? So it's like the best of both worlds. And yes, I'm developing a wonderful following. It's amazing, and a wonderful community of people, and lots of love in the comments. It's just really, really amazing to know that I could reach and help people. I'm on all the platforms: TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. What's the other one? Instagram. And, thank you. Yeah, it's been really, really fun, and I'm just working. I'm just getting started.
Yeah, you're so fun to watch. I usually catch you on either TikTok or Instagram.
Thank you.
Yeah, your videos are a lot of fun.
Thank you. I hope so. I try to make it fun.
You just have such a positive energy. How can someone watch you or see you or chat with you and not immediately love you?
That's nice.
It's good. You have
Thank
such
you.
a great feel good energy.
Thank you. My mom was a very a wonderful light always positive, and I have to definitely give her credit for that. Always grateful,
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, especially knowing that people don't, love organizing. I show up to a client's house and they're like, I'm really not looking forward to this, but because you're here and it's doable, it's a little bit more fun when it's a little bit more exciting and someone's positive and enjoying it. Which, by the way, I guess I should say, for anybody that doesn't know, I made some happy decluttering playlist. It's a music playlist.
Nice.
So I posted a video and I said, share with me any of your songs that are either one related to decluttering, like let it go, right? So like that could be, or just like a happy, general, fun, positive song. So I have a playlist on Spotify. It's called Happy Decluttering. And then I also made one on YouTube for those who don't have Spotify, and people have been enjoying it. I don't benefit in any way. It's just fun. So just check that out if you want.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. I'll be following your Spotify Keep It Clean. What is it called? I just called it Keep It Clean.
Whatever you want it to be. Happy decluttering.
Happy decluttering. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the hopeful outcome. Keep it clean.
Exactly.
Yes.
One of the things that we talk about is when you find something that has a lot of memory for it's memorabilia, for lack of a better term, and I have a lot of that kind of stuff in the house related to my kids that don't live here anymore because they're not supposed to live here anymore, but all their stuff still does. Mm-hmm. And one of the items that was in this storage unit was this really cool tin M&M lunchbox, or it was an M&M, and it looked so cool. It was broken, and so it wasn't really going to be any useful anymore. But I remember all the kids used that, and we would take it to restaurants, and that's what they would pull out, all the pens and crayons, and we'd take coloring books, and we took that thing everywhere. And I looked at that, and my first instinct was, well, you can't throw that away. And my next thought was, damn it, I really want to throw that away. So easy fix. I did a little group text message. I took a picture of it, sent it to all the kids, and I said, wasn't this fun? I'm throwing it away now.
Yeah.
and there you go. I now have a picture of it. I feel like I included them all in on the fact that I'm throwing it away. I wasn't doing it behind their backs. And it's now gone. Now, I must tell you that my oldest son, who is probably not quite an organizer, he's not an organizer / soon to be hoarder. His first thought was, hey, Mom, you could probably sell that. And then he was like, no, probably not. So I only had one response that was like, are you sure you're going to throw that away?
Yeah.
It is now in the garbage.
But that's a really common response. People really, the time it takes to sell things, unless I have a client that I recently worked with, and she's on the Buy Nothing website in her community. I haven't had personal experience, but Buy Nothing is a great way to give things away for free in your area to people who would totally want it, keep it from the landfill. But then there's Facebook Marketplace, and she just be on there, I'm selling this, and in her groove. And then I have clients that are like, oh, I'll sell that. No, if you haven't taken the time, it takes so much energy to go through that for the most part, and the value is usually not worth the time. But great way to celebrate the memory of it. And sometimes you just have to have that last celebration. So, my clients, they'll be like, oh, let me just tell you the story, and we celebrate it together, and then they move on.
And poof.
Yep.
I have a whole section in my basement ready to do that with giant tubs, and I'm just going to take each giant tub and I'm going to take a picture of it and send it to each kid and say, look at this. Isn't it really cool? If you think there's anything you want in it, you better take it, because I am sharing with you how great it is. And then I'm throwing it away.
Great. Good plan. Good plan. I support you.
I imagine that that's probably one of the most difficult things to get rid of are anything that reminds you of when your kids were little. Like, as they enter different phases of life, you just kind of miss, like, I miss my youngest not talking back to me all the time. that was wonderful. So sometimes when I find artwork that she made at that stage in her life, I'm like, oh, it's hard to get rid of that.
You mean she wasn't back when she was an infant before she could talk at all. That's
a
what
good-
you're referring
It
to.
was her handprint on the fake birth certificate from the hospital. That's what I'm
That's
talking about.
The last time she was innocent and not sassy.
Oh my
Innocent handprint.
gosh. Yes. But I imagine that's probably one of the more difficult. That's probably a very difficult thing to get rid of, or a loved one that you've lost.
Yeah, I think that takes time. Everybody's very different with that. And there's no right or wrong process. And
Yeah.
I always come down to, how do I know? How am I doing the right thing or the wrong thing or getting rid of enough? Your health and safety. There's no big problem with some stuff if you just need time to go through it. Everybody grieves differently. Everybody takes time to, separate from the emotional
Yeah.
attachment to their items and their children. And yeah, it's natural.
And I like you talk about the energy it takes to keep the thing. So that's another thing to consider too. If the energy is no longer healthy or good, then maybe it's time to move on.
True. Yeah. And you want to, one of the common things, and I may have said this in our last session, was items around you represent the past, the present, and the future. And if you notice that, a lot of the stuff from the past, it's all around you, and and there's the stuff in the future is like this small. Well, the stuff in the future, you want to be inspired, you want to be, excited for what you're looking forward to and who you want to be as you grow. So you want to kind of check all those things. And the present is the daily things that you're using to support yourself and to have around you to inspire you.
Yeah, it's interesting where I'm thinking about what you said. Since I don't have kids, that's not a difficult thing for me. I lost my mom, and that's probably one of the most difficult things that's ever happened. But I have very little of any of her like physical things that I've kept. And I'm trying to think, so Dean and I were just talking about the fact that we currently have more stuff than is comfortable for either one of us. So we know that we need to go through that process again. And so now that you said that, I'm thinking, what is more difficult for me to get rid of? And I'm trying to think of what that is. It's not stuff from the past, because I keep very little from the past. I don't necessarily have like mementos. I gotta think about that. What is it that's making me feel like my life is cluttered right now?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I'd be curious to know what that answer is if you figure it out.
I think of two examples. One would be like someone who's handy, like, oh, I could fix that, or I could use it to fix that, or someone who is very artsy, like found object art, like or teachers. Teachers have a tendency to teaching opportunities and like supplies for kids.
But you don't really hold on to that kind of stuff, do you? Oh, you do.
I do. So I do know that like pens are a weakness for me. I find I have a particular pen that I like, and I have a ton of them. It's these flare pens, and I have lots of them. Lots and lots and lots of them.
Could you supply a school full of children with those pens?
I could probably give every child on this island a pen and still have one of every color.
You're set for life.
Well, I am. That's funny. I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm gonna have to look around and decide why I'm holding on to the things I'm holding on to. That's a really good question. I'm curious what everyone else is holding on to.
I'm surprised to hear that you think you have a lot, because like I've been to your house, TC, and it seems like you do not have much there. Your house is not one that I walk in and just feel like I could clean this.
It's relative. Yeah. It's a relative experience.
It is relative. Like I look around and think if it would take me months to downsize enough to move on to a boat, I have too much stuff. And I could not downsize enough to move on to it. I have a lot of stuff right now.
There's the criteria. She's got to be boat ready. I find that stress, when I get really stressed, my space has to be more minimal. So I'm like, what can I get rid of? What can I cut out? Because I see everything as like responsibility and things to maintain. And sometimes I question why I have so many plants, because I'm like, this is taking so much of my time. So like, speaking of like relative, the space around you, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's too much. And then if I'm like relaxed, I'm like, that's fine. I don't care about these. I don't care about these piles right now. I'm good.
Well, that was another reason why this challenge came at the perfect time for me, because I'm getting ready to start a new semester at school. So I needed to like spruce up the house. I needed to like vacuum and get stuff arranged and organized and put away, because if I am going to start a new semester at school, I can't have the house cluttered or I won't be able to concentrate on schoolwork. And that might sound bizarre, but that's how my brain works.
Yeah. Also, having company is a great way to look at your house in a different setting. I had my mom and sister come visit this summer, and I was looking around through their eyes, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, kind of like gave me a little motivation just to look at things a little differently. Yeah.
So now that you say that, first of all, I just want to point out that I feel like Mer just filtered herself. That was a really interesting experience.
Growth.
That was nice. I think that a lot of what I keep is for visitors because we have a lot of them. And so we've collected things like beach chairs and snorkeling gear and extra blankets and stuff for visitors that we never use. And so when I look around, it looks like a lot of stuff, but it's for people who visit.
So that's
How
easy.
many of your visitors use blankets? Because I know I didn't.
It gets cold with the air conditioner on. Plus, I have to have a blanket.
I
How can
didn't
you
turn the
sleep
air
without a
conditioner on.
blanket?
But that does
I
make
didn't
it
turn the
easy
air
for when you go to
conditioner
move
on.
onto the boat. You just take all that stuff and give it to someone.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
That
And-
is definitely a thing. I used to be that way. The person who keeps stuff for everybody. I know can be a mom thing because moms always have to have the stuff ready for the family, but it's just to keep unnecessary things. If somebody visits me, I'll have a extra pair of shoes that they can wear. But why would they just, But the visiting and the snorkeling, I guess, is maybe a little bit different.
Yeah, because to get to visit her, you have to take a couple of airplanes. So you want to pack as little as possible. So it's nice that you get there and she does have all this stuff that you can use. It is very handy.
Where is she?
And people do
St.
use
Croix.
it. They do use it.
Oh, right. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
We had talked, Jessa mentioned Ben's workbench. We have an entire garage that sounds a bit similar to that workbench where because Bill is one of those that when he sees a piece or a part from a thing that's no longer working, but the piece or the part works, he'll keep it. And
Yeah, why
I
not?
think I've talked about this before where he'll keep that piece or thing. And when the garage is organized, it's in the right place. It's not organized right now. We've actually got a date set aside to go through it. But even when we were doing the minimalist challenge, we were talking about how the what ifs, well, what if this could come in handy? What if I might need this at some point? We've got all these things in the garage in these little containers everywhere, but damn if he doesn't find something to do with some of those pieces all the time. And he will have fixed something somewhere, and he will come in the house and find me, and he'll say, look here. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's really cool. It's fixed. He said, guess where I found the part? And right in our very own garage. So sometimes it comes in handy, but it needs to be organized. But he's got a day planned in a couple of weekends to do that.
So I found an article on Goodwill website because, of course, they want to encourage you to donate. But one of the statistics is 50% of homeowners rate the garage as the most disorganized place in the house. That's, by the way, that's how I say it now. When it's just me at home, I'm like, it's the garage.
Perfect.
So yeah, 50% of homeowners rate the garage as the most disorganized place in the house. I would fall into that category.
Yeah, it's common. It's easy to just throw stuff out there.
It's like the unfinished basement.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you treat a space
already
the way
messy.
it is. That's right. Yeah, and also like a place that's unorganized or an area that's unorganized usually has a lot of categories. I just recently went through my garage and it's really unfinished, so we treat it terribly as well. And I try to do too many things in there, and I realize, oh my gosh, there's just trying to house too many categories. We don't have a shed for landscaping. So we got landscaping, got business processing. We're trying to work out in there. We got our landlord stuff in there. So just, like pantries are kind of the same way. There's just so many different things in a pantry.
Yeah, I have a little closet in my hallway that I think I'm going to tackle next. It is a mismatch of things. Mishmash. I can't say words tonight.
Mishmash. You're talking about letting go and your husband finding the thing and using it. I did a post where I asked, tell me your decluttering regret stories. I have gotten hundreds and hundreds of stories. And I feel ultimately it comes down to, don't let anybody force you to get rid of anything if it wasn't how you felt, because that can cause regret.
Oh yeah.
And if it's something that's irreplaceable, yeah, okay, you spent some money on it, or you lost some money. Money's money. I mean, never speak for myself, but if it's irreplaceable and it's a memento attached to a person or someone, you have to ultimately be the one to ultimately let go of it. And in the end, the underlying thing is you want to feel good about decluttering, because if you have regret and you get rid of stuff and then you cause scars, decluttering is no longer fun, right? So you want to create a positive experience. And I'm really grateful for all the stories that everybody shared. It's really incredible to hear.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't regretted anything I've gotten rid of. Have any of you?
Have either. There's a couple items that I wish I could locate. My mom gave me a Bible once upon a time that she wrote something in, and I can't find that. To be honest, I don't know if I got rid of it as part of decluttering, or if it didn't make the move, or if I just lost it. But I'd like to have that.
Yeah.
But there's not much that I regret decluttering.
That's good.
That's good.
Frustrating when you can't find something. I know how that feels. You're just like, I really would like to know what that is.
We've had a few things that have been like, I thought that we moved that, but I guess we didn't. And, there's not really much we can do about it now, but there's a couple things that have just been like, oh, that is going to be impossible to find here, because we didn't quite realize how much was going to be hard to find on an island in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
But, there's Amazon. So.
Amazon delivers
here,
Kauai.
so we're fine.
Yeah. You had mentioned earlier that you will sometimes declutter a little too soon. I think that was you had said that, and,
Yes.
and I'm guilty of that in the past. I'll be like, I don't need this. And I used to live really, really in really small spaces, so I'd be like, what can I get rid of? And I kind of force the issue with like some football cards or look back, but I could go get some more football cards. Yeah.
It's mostly when my husband looks for something and we'll be like, well, I thought we had blah, blah, blah. And it's
Okay.
just like,
oh, okay. Gotcha. That's right. Not me.
I don't know where it happened. I don't know where it went, babe. Sorry. Probably in your workshop.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
I can
Jess.
blame that.
It's funny. So do you have any other, sorry, go ahead, TC.
I'm curious if Sarah has any decluttering regrets. I think that's an interesting question.
I don't think I do really. Everyone was talking about it, I was sitting here thinking, is there something that I've thrown away that I really, really wished I hadn't? But then also you have to remember I've got a pretty bad memory. So I may have thrown something away that I really wanted, but I've forgotten about it, in which case probably I didn't need it anyway. I have a bigger frustration. We were talking about losing things, and I can get pretty obsessive, hard to believe, but I can get pretty obsessive when I've lost something. And you would not believe the places I think things could be when I've lost something. I mean, I look in the most, it's insane. I have
3 times. I look in the most ridiculous places 3 times because maybe I missed it the first 2.
Yeah, exactly. And I lost a hoodie from Orange Theory that is not one that I can probably get again, because they just make hey, we're making this and it's got Orange Theory Union on it and everything, and then they don't make it anymore. So I can't replace it. I have no idea what I did with it. I must have left it there, and perhaps somebody picked it up, or it fell out of my off on the driveway of the gym or whatever. I don't know. But I tell you what, the places I thought that thing could be, behind the dryer, under the dryer, in my car, in the garage, and the work, no, everywhere. This drawer, that drawer, this closet. That hoodie had never been in that closet. I'm fairly confident, but I looked for it in there. It eats at you, and you just never quite forget that you. I mean, I've got a terrible memory, but I will never forget that I lost that damn hoodie.
You might think it's a ridiculous location until you live with somebody who left a remote in the refrigerator. So
that's true. I think if there's anything that I could think of that I don't have now that I used to have, however I got rid of it, moving, purging, lost it, hoodies and hats are probably the two things. And I seem to acquire a ridiculous number of hoodies and hats, and then I'll get rid of a bunch of them. And then I'll be like, oh, I wish I had that Chicago Cubs hat or hoodie. Those are the two things. Like, I could name hoodies right now that I don't have, that I used to have, that I wish I had. And I live in the tropics. So there's that.
Nothing better than a comfy hoodie. And that hoodie was so comfy.
Yeah, that's sad. You know, hoodies are my nemesis, though. My daughters have about 82 hoodies apiece, and I can't stand them. Where the hell do you store all these hoodies? And why do you both need that many? Both of you. It's crazy. So I have limited myself to, I have 5 hoodies, and I refuse to bring another hoodie into this house.
They are
Yeah,
bulky.
so I used to have that purple Pussifer hoodie. I wish I had that. I don't know where it is now, but I would like it. And then I had a gray 30 Seconds to Mars hoodie. I would like to have that hoodie again. I don't know where they are.
I don't have either of those.
The Chicago Cubs hat that I used to have.
I don't have that either.
I really want to get on
That's
eBay
funny.
and look for an Orange Theory sweatshirt, limited edition.
Union, Kentucky.
Maybe.
Yeah.
OTF Union.
Okay, I'm on it.
or TC, maybe you just need to go to another 30 Seconds to Mars concert and see.
New experiences.
They're gonna be on
Agreed.
tour soon.
Ooh.
See, just see if you can find a new one.
So Chris said,
I don't know. Hoodies aren't all that replaceable, really. Like, once you have that hoodie, they're not replaceable. They're not.
Especially if it's got the date of the concert on it.
Yeah.
Oh.
and I think yours both did.
It's the memory. It's the memory when I got that purple Pussifer hoodie. Was that concert we almost got kicked out of because I refused to.
She refused to put her phone away.
That I couldn't take pictures.
Yeah, but did it have the date of that concert on it? See, I refuse to buy t-shirts or hoodies or things like that at a concert or an event unless there's a date on it. Because as I have said, my memory is so bad. I want to remember that I went and when I went. And that's how I remember when I went. Because it's got the date on it right there.
Here's the other thing. We did that big purge contest, and every day we posted a picture of the things we purged. I think that's a big mistake. I don't want to see the pictures of that stuff anymore.
No.
Why? It makes you sad that it's gone?
Well, because sometimes, so now we posted them on Facebook, so every year that comes up as a memory, and I'm like, oh, I remember that. I kind of wish I had that thing.
Terrible.
I don't think we should
Well,
do that anymore.
This is a lesson learned. We will not implement that step in our next purge challenge.
I have a lot of clients, not a lot. I have a handful of clients that will be like, here, just take this away before I can see it again. And one client would just say, all right, when I say witness protection program, that means take it immediately to your car, hide it, and don't let me know where it is, and take it away immediately. So she just will forget about it. And that's our keyword. Kind of feel a little guilty doing that, but it helps somehow. They just like, move it along. I can't see it.
Yeah, I think a picture of it that comes up as a memory every year is a bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't think we should do that again.
This
See,
is what you could have.
I feel the opposite. When it pops up for me, I'm like, oh God, I'm so glad I don't have that anymore.
I don't
That'd
know.
be
I'm
pairs
looking
of
at I'm zooming in and I'm looking at every necklace I got rid of. And I'm like, yeah, I would still wear that one.
the 25 pairs of thong underwear that I hadn't worn in 10 years. I wasn't so sad when they stopped. I'm like, yeah, they're gone.
I don't
You
remember that
post a
picture,
picture of
Sarah.
that? I don't remember.
Well, I was very
Oh,
careful. I just
it's-
laid them all together like this.
I
So
do remember that picture. Yeah.
I need to see these.
You couldn't tell. Are they
Post these.
underwear? Are they socks? Are they scarves? Are they handkerchiefs? What are they?
Next time the memories come up, tag me.
streamers.
Streamers.
Wait, those are my panties.
Just kidding. So, Kristen, now that you have your first book done, do you have any plans for a second book, or what do you have in store for all of us?
Oh, thank you. Yes, definitely want to address two topics. The first would be more about the professional organizing industry and my journey. I get a lot of requests of people. I love organizing. How do I get started? And I feel like I really need to put that out there and share that. The industry is still very young. People still don't even know what a professional organizer is. The media shows Hoarders or Marie Kondo or Home Edit.
Right.
So like those are the three examples, but it's so much more than that. And then also, if you're familiar with the Where Do I Put This series, it's a video series, and it's also a set of graphics that's on my Facebook and on my Instagram. It's cousins, coworkers, or coworkers, cousins, and family. And it's personification of the items, turning our items into people and deciding where they should live. And I knew definitely it's resonating with the world. And I had no idea when we had talked last time, we had brought it up, and one of you had mentioned it had stuck out to you. And it's been really helping people within the ADHD community and autistic community categorization and finding where things should live and what they should live with. So those are the two things I'm gonna work on getting some type of a publication out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, before we let you go, we have one final question for you. We want to know, what is your favorite way to explore?
I love that. When I think of exploring, I think of two things, and it's the woods. We are on a property here, a very large property we're renting. We're very blessed. And in the winter, I made trails all through the woods, and I've always loved the woods. So there's something about the woods that's like unexplored territory. And there's a boat out there that I found randomly. It's just a big boat sitting. I don't know how it got there, who put it there.
There's a
but
story there.
I could only imagine. Yes. And then, like you guys, I love to dive, but I've only done snorkeling and diving. When I'm under the water, that's like, again, it's like uncharted territory. No one's ever been here before. And those are the two ways I really feel like I'm exploring the world.
Nice.
Thanks.
Well, we want to leave our listeners with a challenge this week. Pick a space that needs some sprucing up and get to organizing. If you don't know where to start, we recommend picking up Christen Fackler's new book, How to Organize Everything, Purge, Sort, Contain, and Maintain. Let us know how it's going by tagging us in your social media posts, or you can just send us an email to sirensoapbox@gmail.com. Kristen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Would you like to tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes, thank you so much. That was so much fun. I could talk about organizing all the time. My website, ultimately my website, it's iorganizeeverything.com. And on my socials, it's either at iorganize or at iorganizeeverything.
Awesome. Thanks. And
Thank you.
Sirens, thank you for recording with us tonight and for sharing your organizing adventures. And thank you, fellow explorers, for listening to this episode. You can find us on our website, sirensoapbox.com, where we have tons of ways for you to explore. We have all of our upcoming episodes posted. So if you find something that resonates with you, we hope that you'll explore alongside us and let us know how it's going. And until next time, dive in, stay curious, and be happy.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Siren Soapbox, and a special thank you to C Strings for providing our music. Snag their latest EP from iTunes today. Follow the Sirens on all the social medias, and don't forget to tell your friends about us. Like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. We'll catch you next time on another episode of Siren Soapbox.